of fruits and then made up of all the other wild foods. So your leaves and veggies to some degree, fresh, flowers, of course your wild fruits, your roots, your wild roots are exponentially more potent than just your potato, your carrot, your beetroot. We're talking about your burdock and salsify. And then we've got other elements that we enjoy, things like barks, unusual things like cinnamon, of course, and then all your seaweeds and all the mushrooms. Wow, what a potent combination. So all of those are cleansing and regenerating. Of course, if we're talking about agriculturally farmed, even if it's organic, foodstuffs that can't be eaten in their natural form, we have to cook them and process them, and then usually slather them in salt and seasonings and spices and cook them in loads of really intense oil that's greasy and clogs up your pipes. And I'm not talking about the ones under your sink. Calling those inherently cleansing and detoxifying, really? I'm not sure about that, and I'm not sure about the rebuilding either. So let's not make overly simplified statements. However, let's look at animal foods. All animal foods are rebuilding and regenerating. Well, they most certainly do have a massive, massive, massive mineral density. Why? Because those animals have been eating all of those plants a lot. They have 4 stomachs, some of them. They're eating kilos, pounds upon pounds upon kilos of just green leaves a day, let alone, and a huge variety of green leaves if they're wild. You know, of course, they're eating their berries, their nuts, their mushrooms, or whatever, depending on the species. So they have a huge mineral density. Things concentrate up the food scale. There's a lot more concentration in a whale than there is in plankton. And there's a lot more concentration in density in a deer than there is in some grass. So when flesh of an animal is eaten, people are getting a massive, massive mineral density, and people require a massive, massive mineral density. We really do, which is why people eating omnivorously and carnivorously can be so healthy and well and strong relatively if they're doing it in a smart, intelligent way, because they are saturating themselves in the mineral kingdom. 92 plus minerals. Your zinc and your calcium and your chromium and your selenium, and then all, a lot. Even down to potentially your silver and your gold. So mineral density, really powerful. And if people are eating a standard vegetarian or vegan or even a low quality raw food diet, then are they getting that density? If they're not eating wild foods, they're not getting that density. If they're not eating the very best, ripest, specifically organic or better than organic and wild fruits, and getting their seaweeds, their mushrooms, their wild roots, their wild leaves, if they're not enjoying those in abundance, and we haven't even touched upon the subject of exercise here, and many other cofactors that exponentially affect nutrition. Like, those are extremely relevant. We're not going to get into them in this conversation because we're staying focused. So, but with the animal foods, we are eating an animal that's been killed, that if it was in our garden we would have made friends with, and some people would still kill them. That's fine. And we've got to remember that existence, creation, Great Spirit, Almighty God has no judgment about what we eat or what we don't eat, what we do and what we don't do. And I have no judgment about what anyone eats or doesn't eat. We're just examining some cause and effect issues here. So, I personally prefer not to harm or kill animals in any way. That's my personal choice. So, I'm just explaining some of my reasoning, because all of the issues are issues that feel good to me on reasons why I make those choices. And so, the anti-nutrients, for want of a word, or toxicity that is in animal foods. Okay, you have all the fear chemicals and hormones that are released from the animal being killed, which is a lot more if they're killed in a brutal way, slowly, than if they're killed quickly, but they're still killed, and they pretty much always see it coming. And is it nice for them? Is it nice for us? Maybe if we're completely desensitized to the feelings of another creature and the sacredness of life. But at the same time, life is sacredly eternal, and all beings, and the true being isn't the body, but the soul, which is eternal and infinite. These are important things to remember and have in context. So, essentially, every single one of those animals' cells is normally eating or eliminating, pooping. When a flesh, animal, or human body is killed, it can no longer remove all the waste, and it starts to degrade immediately. All the poop that was in the cells, cellular waste, cannot be removed. That flesh starts rotting. Now, of course, we're only going to some people eating flesh raw, which of course also has great drawbacks and allegedly great benefits. But there is a lot of toxicity, along with huge, mega mineral dosage in that flesh. Is it a choice that we want to make? And are all those rotting body parts, are they rebuilding? The rotting aspect of them, are they regenerating? All the acidity, huge amounts of acidity, all the fact that flesh is made up of proteins, which some people go woohoo, and I say whoopie-doo. It's made up of proteins. Do you know how much energy the human body has to take from itself? Has to most of the energy that comes from that food, we're talking about sort of caloric energy here, has to go in to be redirected to digest the actual food that it's getting the energy from, to break down those proteins. Those proteins are completely unusable and unassimilable in the form of flesh that they come in. They need to be broken down into amino acids, the state that they were already in when they were in the plant kingdom. So that is a lot of energy. Is that rebuilding? Is that regenerating? That's just two factors, but they're two huge, major factors. And if we look into what are the anti-nutrients, etc., in animal foods, or what's the poisons and the toxicity, it's epic and vast, the information that's out there. So that's just me trying to give a short answer to a question and a statement that was a bit oversimplified. But the most important thing is to be in a state of love and joy and appreciation unconditionally for ourselves, everyone, and everything. And just because I've shared these reasons doesn't mean there's any judgment on anyone else. Doesn't mean we need to give that unsolicited information or advice to people that haven't asked for it. Let's just get on with enjoying the greatest day of all time by feeling the greatest feelings of all time, remembering that we are in the most gorgeous paradise of all time, whether it's sunny, grey, or snowy, and remember who we truly are. Stay wonderful, stay wild, stay ineffably magical, because you are. Peace.